Welcome to the Unreal BootCamp lesson on authentication error handling. When we covered authentication in earlier lessons, we did not cover how to handle authentication errors. If we were to authenticate with our example app, but enter an incorrect password for our email identity, then as you'd see, we'd be stuck on the connecting screen. Stop the app and open up Xcode. Then check out the console window's output. If you look at the console window, you can see the email authentication request failed. In this lesson, we're going to remedy this problem, and in fact, we'll display a meaningful error message to the user so they know what went wrong. In the networkmanager.h file, scroll down and declare a private method called extractErrorStatusMessage. This method takes in the JSON error data and returns an f-string value with the error's status message. Navigate to the networkmanager.cpp file. Scroll all the way to the bottom and implement the extractErrorStatusMessage method. In the body, create a JSON reader using the JSON response data. Then declare a JSON object and using the JSON reader, deserialize the JSON data. If the JSON data was deserialized successfully, extract the status message string from the root JSON object. Return the status message string. Scroll up and find the onAuthentication error method. After the statement that logs the JSON error, invoke the brainCloud method that resets the stored profile ID. This is important in case the reconnect authentication fails. Modify the next line to include the result of the extract error status message. Navigate to the space shooter game mode base.h file. Scroll down, override the onAuthentication request failed method. Navigate to the space shooter game mode base.cpp file. Scroll down. After the onAuthentication request completed method, implement the onAuthentication request failed method. In the body, we'll check to see if the game state is authenticating, and if it is, set the game state to gameplay. Then hide the connecting dialog and show the error dialog, passing in the error message parameter as the argument. Click the Run button to build the project and launch the Unreal editor. Once the Unreal editor opens, run the game. On the login screen, enter an incorrect password for the email identity. The error is now handled and an error message is displayed to the user. Closing the error dialog will then show the main menu. We're not authenticated, so Horde mode and brainCloud functionality is not available. But from the brainCloud menu, we can hit Login. Enter the correct password and click Login. And now we're authenticated. Stop the game. There's another kind of error I'd like to show you how to handle in your game or app. Open your web browser and navigate to the brainCloud design portal. Click Design, then Core App Info, then Platforms. From this screen, you can set the platforms that your game or app supports. Any attempt to authenticate with brainCloud from an unsupported platform will result in an error, but that's not the error that we're going to be adding support for in the example game. Notice the column that says minimum version. This allows you to set a minimum version of your game that is supported. Suppose your game was on version 1.5.0 and you implemented a major new feature and incremented the version to 2.0.0. You could then set the minimum version here to 2.0.0, and everyone that's running a previous version of your game or app would then need to update the game or app in order to authenticate with brainCloud. For iOS, click the minimum version to open the side panel. Click Edit and then set the minimum version to 1.0.1. Below that, set an upgrade message. This is an error message that will be displayed to the user to encourage them to upgrade to the desired version of your game. Copy the upgrade message and then click Save. Click the Linux minimum version and then click Edit. Set the minimum version to 1.0.1, then paste in the upgrade message and click Save. Click the macOS minimum version and then click Edit. Set the minimum version to 1.0.1, then paste in the upgrade message and click Save. Scroll down and click the Windows minimum version. Click Edit, set the minimum version to 1.0.1, then paste in the upgrade message and click Save. Before we return to Unreal, let's experiment in the API Explorer. Before authenticating, in the parameters section, ensure the game's version is lower than 1.0.1. Click Execute to authenticate. Notice the response. The upgrade app ID key contains the upgrade message that was set in the previous screen. This is the value that we need to display to the user in the Unreal example game. In the parameters section, change the game version to 1.0.1. Notice that the response was successful. Open the Unreal editor and run the game. Notice that we get an error message, but it's not the upgrade message that we set. Our code isn't set up to parse that value yet. Stop the game and return to Xcode. Stop the Unreal Engine from running. In the networkmanager.h file, declare a private method called extractUpdateAppID message. Navigate to the networkmanager.cpp file. Scroll to the bottom. Implement the extract upgrade app ID message method. In the body, create a JSON reader using the JSON response data. Then declare a JSON object and using the JSON reader, deserialize the JSON data. If the JSON data was deserialized successfully, extract the upgrade app ID string from the root JSON object. Return the upgrade app ID string. Scroll all the way up to the top and include reasoncodes.h. Then scroll down and find the onAuthentication error method. After the statement that resets the stored profile ID, declare an if statement that checks to see if the reason code is equal to the game version not supported constant. If the result of the comparison is true, invoke the extract upgrade app ID message method, pass in the JSON error as the argument. Then, if the callback is set, invoke the onAuthentication request failed method, pass in the error message variable as the argument. Add the remaining function's code into an else statement. Click the Run button to build the Unreal editor. Once the Unreal editor opens, run the game. Log in with valid credentials. Notice that the upgrade message was properly displayed. Stop the game and return to Xcode. Stop the Unreal editor from running. Navigate to the constants.h file. Change the app's version constant to 1.0.1. Click the Run button to build the Unreal editor. Once the Unreal editor opens, run the game. Log in with valid credentials. Notice that the game properly authenticated with brainCloud. That's because the game now meets the minimum version that we requested in the design portal. Stop the game, open your web browser, and navigate to the brainCloud API reference. Open the Authenticate email password request, although it could be any of the authentication requests. Notice the error handling example. In the example game, we are only handling the game version not supported error, and then the rest of the errors, we are simply displaying the brainCloud status message to the users. As you can see, there are additional types of authentication errors that can be returned, and perhaps in your game or app, you'll want to display a more accessible error message to the user. Scrolling down, you'll see a list of status codes and their descriptions, just like we did with the game version not supported reason code. To handle any of these errors in your game or app, just check the code parameter in the failure callback lambda. An overview of external authentication is the next lesson in the Unreal BootCamp.